Kisscapades podcast. I'm your host, John Telewa, aka the Kiss Bandit. And in this show, we explore the key elements that shape our fulfilling existence, from health and well-being to financial success, meaningful relationships, and the pursuit of happiness. We cover it all. Our guests include experts, professionals, and everyday individuals who have remarkable stories to tell. Tune in to learn practical tips, gain valuable insights, and discover strategies for personal growth and transformation. Whether you're seeking to improve your health, build your wealth, enhance relationships, or find lasting happiness, we got you covered. Welcome to today's episode. Another amazing episode with a special guest, of course, and nothing but good things to say about you so far. Nothing but good things. I've just been seeing like your TikTok traction.
Nice.
The content is very creative, informative, entertaining. So, I had to reach out. And I was really impressed because like when I reached out, you actually responded probably, I think just a few minutes, kind of.
Yeah.
In less than 30 minutes, you had already like responded. And I was like, okay, this is a content creator who knows about collabs and everything. But before we start the podcast, just tell the people your name and what you do.
Hi, my name is Rory Galagher, and I am a content creator from California, USA.
Nice. So now just jumping straight to it. Like my first question to ask, because when we think of digital nomads, this is somebody who's just roaming to whichever country he wants, creating content, still figuring out how they're making money. I don't know how they're making money, but we see just people traveling. We see people traveling here and there, always having a laptop, a backpack, but always on the move. But before we get to the details of that, like what did you want to do growing up?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think when I was a small kid, I really wanted to be a pilot.
A pilot?
That was my dream.
Wow.
I had been, I think it links back to traveling a lot.
Uh-huh.
Like I'd taken like a few plane trips to visit family in the US.
Yeah.
And as a little kid, I got my wings from the pilot and I was like, that's what I want to do.
Oh, you used to have?
Yeah, like
nice.
when they do that
pilots,
sometimes. They come out and they give it to the kids that are super in love. And I just loved the whole experience. I think one of my first flights was to this really small town that my dad's from in the Midwest in Wisconsin. Yeah. And we had taken a flight to like Chicago, a big airport. And then we had taken a really small flight to another airport, to like a regional one. And we were flying in the middle of like a thunderstorm. And it was crazy turbulence. Everybody on the plane was freaking out. But me as a kid was like excited. In heaven. Excited. There's like, you could see lightning. I was in heaven. Yeah. And I think this is like things that set or at least showed my personality. It's like, I want to be jet setting. I want to be in crazy environments. So that's what I wanted to do. As I got older, I realized I'm terrible at math. I was more of a creative person, like the arts was more of what I was into. So it kind of evolved. And then I got really lucky that at some point we'd moved to San Diego in California. If you know, it's the farthest city south. Yeah. I was very privileged to live in a very nice city that had quite a bit of money, and I could go to a high school that had a broadcasting program. So we were doing daily TV shows, and at one point I was making videos, and that's how I got started into making content. So I'd started when I was like 12 years old, got really into it as I got to a bit older. 12 years? Yeah. Okay, so you never done an 8 to 5, you never did the McDonald's thing and everything? I also did that, yeah.
You did? Yeah, I mean, those are the things that shape us and give us like a bit of discipline.
Making videos hasn't made me any money. So really? I like my actual career, the way I make money, that I'm trying to transition out of is selling software.
Well, that's what you do?
Yeah. Work for software companies and usually sell to the US or the UK or Australia. The biggest markets, it doesn't have to be English speaking, but they tend to be the ones that have adopted the things that I've been working on.
But how does that work though? Because now, how do you shift like everything that you are doing? Like you said, like, you're interested in broadcast and everything from school, and then shifting to like software. Is it something that you learn or just a DIY kind of thing?
Oh, so it was a bit of a slow shift. When I was in school, we had made a documentary on the Holocaust. So that kind of solidified that I got to feel like I was in the business. We were really lucky that we fundraised just through our families. went to Germany, filmed it, came back, put out a trailer, and then a Jewish Family Foundation actually saw it and said, we've actually wanted to do this project. Can we write you like a few $100,000 check and can make it a proper project? I did that, and then I got to be on the team that was traveling. So we went to like Zagreb, Croatia, and traveled around promoting it. And then I realized I liked the production element of making content. I wasn't entirely sold on going into the industry and being like a little fish in a big system. And I loved the element of going out and kind of selling and producing and doing that. So when it came time to go to university, I was like, I don't want to study film. I don't want to study broadcasting. I want to go into business. And that's sort of how I kind of consider it was a nice detour, but I kind of went off on a detour and got into the sales world. And then it's been the last 2 years that I've been realizing that my passion is still making content, and that I can take these skills I learned from business and sales and like what ended up being in the tech startup world, and now try to apply that to producing content. Because I don't know if you experienced this, that the actual filming and editing, which is a fun piece, is one small portion of what we're doing. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I wanted to come here and make like a banging TikTok every day. And I realized the hardest part is getting a good idea that's going to get traction, and then getting people sold to help you with it, and coordinating and getting people to follow through and selling people on that. Like I realized that like the product, that element is just as important as when you're holding the camera and then when you're finally putting the pieces together. So I'm happy I kind of derailed and went that way, but it is a challenge. But I'm happy. Like right now I'm not making any money through content, but this is I think long term this is something that could be a business that sustains me.
For sure. Because I think even as a content creator, just like you said, a lot of people who always have like second doubts about like creating content, they're always thinking about like, how am I going to make money now? And unfortunately, that's once you start looking at the people like, the Jake Pauls and Logan Pauls,
who are billionaires now.
It's going to be really hard for you to make content, because you have to realize like they also started this when they were like 10, 11 years old. So you're dismissing like probably like 15, 16 years in the making, and you want to skip all this to go to the end and start reaping the rewards. Well, times have changed, but also you have to understand, like, you need to figure out your lane, start with what you have, and just get comfortable doing it until, like, you figure out, like, okay, this is where I can make money. I can do much. I've built up, like, a huge fan base, so I can sell them, like, anything that's, worth selling, not just selling them, like, thin air or anything.
No courses.
Exactly.
No crypto scams.
Exactly. Just sell them something that's actually, like, just worth them buying. And I think your fans will support you always. And partnerships can come in and all that. So, but anyway, let's just get to like, the travel beat and TikTok as well. Because that's the main thing that, I saw. Which one of your videos did I see? Was it the one from Egypt? I think that's the first video that I saw.
Okay.
Was it Egypt? No, which one has the 3 million views?
That's on Mtumba.
Okay, then that was Kenya. Okay. I'm just confusing the Egypt one. And okay, so let's talk about Egypt first.
Okay.
Because I think that's what you've posted, like on TikTok. You've posted Uganda, and you've posted Kenya as well. But Kenya clearly takes the crown home. But let's talk about Egypt. How was your experience traveling to Egypt? And I'm guessing that would have been like one of the first videos that kind of like shaped like how you're doing content like now in different countries.
So this was actually 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The first time I'd come to Kenya right before I was in Egypt. And then I was focused on making vlogging content. Like I really wanted to emulate like the Kurt Kazes of the world, if you've seen it. Get out of the taxi, roll the camera, meet people, keep the adventure going, that type of style. I'd made it. It was quite challenging to film in Egypt. There's a language barrier. A lot of the people that do speak English that you'll run into, it's because they work in tourism and they're trying to get money, like flat out. So it was quite, I found it challenging. The people, like, it's part of why I love filming in Kenya is because the English is so widespread and almost everybody can have a good conversation. So I can walk down right outside here and just talk to anybody. And that's the type of content I like. I don't just want to talk to people that are working in an industry where they've learned English. But Egypt was, that's where I started with vlogging. I had started uploading to TikTok. My plan for that trip was actually to go from Cairo to Cape Town taking buses.
What?
But it was a terribly planned trip because the timing was still in the heat of COVID.
Oh.
There was conflict in Ethiopia. The borders weren't even open.
Yeah.
While I was in Egypt, the Sudan's first sort of uprising, or what are the issues they have there, kicked off.
Yes.
And I remember being like, okay, I think I have to just give up on this plan. And I just flew to Nairobi.
Yeah.
And then I got here and I was still like, okay, maybe we'll do Nairobi to Cape Town. But then I came and I was like, I love filming content here. I was spending most of my time, it just sort of happened. I wanted to film a video in Kibera.
Yeah.
So I went and stayed for a couple days, and then I found an apartment that I could basically live out of for the time I was in here, and I ended up just living out of Olympic for most of the time.
Oh, that's along Gong Road, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just on the entrance to the Kibera area.
Yeah, don't give people the details. And then people just start showing up like, hey, but you're not there anymore.
I'm not there anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I started, and I loved it there. And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to derail this plan, and I'm just going to make content in Kenya, maybe go move on in East Africa once my visa's up. And I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of content to be made. I found people were amazingly open. That was an area, and I particularly like filming in areas that even locals are scared to go because of a history.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
It's actually, I'm a Mazungu running around.
No, listen, because with you, it can go either way. It can go well, because most people who are also like in such areas, when they see you, they know maybe you're coming to document something, so they know you're creating, like, especially if they see a camera, they'll be respectful, like, okay, he's coming to do content.
Yeah.
You never know, like, this might turn into something, but they're always welcoming when it comes towards just if it's content. But me just casually moving around there, and I think I'd be a target. Like, that's where you hear, like, sometimes people say, like, that's just white people shit, because not all of us can understand. I'm surprised you haven't gone to play with lions, tigers, and everything, because you won't find me doing that as well. And it's crazy, because you being in East Africa, I haven't seen you doing, like, the usual thing that people are mostly obsessed with, like wildlife and just going for safaris and everything. For you, it's more like just mingling with people. Why the interest in people?
I always tell people, always say that because I'm going to go on a safari soon. Because I feel like I've spent too much time to not.
Yeah.
But people always ask, why are you not doing this and this? I'm like, I can't talk to a lion. I can't talk to an elephant.
True. That's true.
I can't talk to a mountain. It's just not something I've been into. I'm into people and the stories of people. I want to get deep into a city. I want to make friends. I want to be somewhere that people are scared of or they have a certain impression of, and I want to go there and tell stories. And then even in a lot of places I film, like by the time I've taken out a camera and filmed, I've already been there a few times, and I've already tried to just wander around on my own. Meet people.
Without even filming?
Without, yeah. I try to go, wander around, see if I can meet somebody who feels authentic and would be a good character to have as well, that also has some street cred in the area so that they can help me connect with the right people. If it's Dandora or somewhere particularly dangerous, then I can have a bit of protection,
Yeah.
And that's why I like it. So, I've kind of, from the beginning, my ethos on making content is I think the best content is things that people aren't really doing.
That's true. And before you find that unique lane, I think that's why even like with Mtumba, like now it blew up, because they're like, what? You really went into the details, mingling with people, and people just like, yes, people. And I can only imagine that was how long ago was that?
This was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, the Mtumba was 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And it hit 3 million?
Yeah. It hit 3 million within like 3 days.
Jeez. How are the notifications on that?
A lot.
Crazy? Okay, is there any other video that you can say has surpassed that? Or
Not
that's
yet,
the highest?
no. But I have a part 2 that I filmed yesterday.
Oh, the Mtumba.
Of Mtumba.
Oh, okay.
The part 2 is a lot of the comments I got were from Americans, because this was a lot of my videos too. I came back because last time when I was here, I was focused on YouTube, and YouTube was getting very little traction.
Yeah.
As an afterthought, I would cut the most interesting minute, put it on TikTok, and then it would take off.
Sure.
Sometimes over 100,000. So when I was planning on what to do. I'd quit my job that I was in a few months ago, and I was like, I'm not going to start looking for work till January. I have enough savings to float me for a little while. I was like, what do I want to do? And I was like, I hadn't been making videos. I felt like a emptiness of not doing creative work.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't I just go back to Kenya? I love it there. I was missing it after a while. I was really missing food and just the vibe and just how it is here. It could be a challenging place to travel. I'm not sugarcoating it. I meet a lot of
Kenya?
Yeah.
Really?
I meet a lot of foreigners that are a bit like, how are you so in love with Nairobi? And I think
is it that crazy? Are there people who've like had like an experience and they're like, it's just too much for me?
I think, yeah, if you take a foreigner downtown.
Oh, of course. No, but the thing is like you're glowing in the middle of like people who are trying to like make money.
Yeah.
And everyone is just trying to sell you something, even when you're just trying to chill.
And that can be very overwhelming. And I think that's a reason why a lot of foreigners come here and they stay a night in Nairobi and then they book it and they go out to a nice safari where they spend crap tons of money, but they get to feel comfortable.
Oh, that actually makes sense. Or they can even just go down to the coast where it's just like isolated beaches and chill.
They can go to Diani that feels like America.
Yeah, because you're just in your sandals, walking around, having coconut juice. Yep. Okay, that makes sense. Nobody's trying to hustle you for anything.
I think you get hustled.
Even there?
There's hustle in Diani. Oh, yeah.
Really?
But it's easier to just stay at Soul Breeze, stay at a resort, and be in your comfort zone compared to Nairobi is a bit out of the comfort zone. I mean, you can stay in Westlands and go to Alchemist.
Oh yeah.
and feel safe, but you know what I mean, or like feel like you're at home. But I think it's to each their own. There are certain people that love chaos. I'm one of them. And in that case, then somewhere like downtown Nairobi is fun. And
the fact that you just describe it as like, I want to go, in your own words, you're saying, I want to go somewhere where I feel like it's dangerous.
Yes.
That's not me. I know I do have my medical cover, life insurance, but I don't use any of it right now. Like, let me just keep my premiums on the low before I start doing that. But anyway, to that, like, especially like the Mtumba video on TikTok, just something that I wanted to ask, because if I'm not wrong, you are trying to explain how the clothes, people give out the clothes from abroad as donations.
Yeah.
And okay, in fact, first of all, you just do the story thing so that it's not me trying to tell the story. Because you see, I'm trying to fill in the blank spaces and I don't want to butcher the story in the wrong way. So what exactly is the story between clothes coming as donations and then ending up like in Gikomba and people buying them as,
So in the U.S.
And even how did you put all those pieces together?
Yeah. So in the U.S. and Europe, I think as background, I lived in Berlin, Germany for 6 years. And how I found this story was at the end of my street in Berlin, there was a clothing donation box. I remember it was a big white one. It had the Red Cross logo on it. And whenever I had clothes, I was moving around, I had clothing, I would donate it. And since we were young, even in the U.S., when you have extra clothes, you go to Goodwill, you donate these items. And the impression was always that, like, obviously there's some expenses involved or whatever the case is, but this is going to somewhere for free. It's like essentially the nonprofits are going to maybe cover the cost, but the idea is that this is going to people who need it for free. And then when I came to Nairobi, and I first was, I think, in Toy Market. Yeah. I see this market, and I'm like, okay, secondhand clothes. What really opened my eyes is when I started seeing people in Kibera in particular walking around with high school T-shirts. I would see guys wearing, I was like in a fraternity in university. I would see guys wearing the sweaters of sororities. So it'd be like our group sororities. And you see the guys walking around. And at first I was like, that's hilarious. This guy has no idea. Yeah. And then I'm like, wait, there's something bigger here. So then I started looking online. I found an investigative report specifically about the boxes in Germany, how it's a third-party company who is paying the Red Cross to use their logo because it helps get more donations. They're then sorting those clothes, packaging them, shipping them here, and then it's a big business. Like, nobody's getting anything for free. And last time I was here, I was like, that's a big one. I came back the lady who's I always eat breakfast from. I always get beans and chapati. One day I'm eating there, and she's wearing a 007 high school prom T-shirt. And I was like, do you know where this came from? And she's like, oh, no, I just bought it at the market. And I'm like, there's a story here that I need to tell.
True.
So that's where I just went to Gikomba. I wandered around. It's an intense market. I wandered until I found one guy who seemed cool, but a bit of a Rasta guy. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be my guy. I pretended to buy a shirt from him, and I said, hey, man, I'm actually here to make a video. Do you want to help me out? You want to be in it? I can give you a bit of cash just to be my guide and help me tell this story. Here's the concept. And then I said it, and he was like, yep, let's do this. I put it out. What shocked me, I think why the video did so well, is I thought Kenyans were aware that we're donating these out of kindness of heart, thinking they're coming for free. That was what made the video take off, is because there was a lot of surprise and I think anger from Kenyans going, wait a minute, I'm paying for clothes that were given to me for charity. And then that let the video take off here, and then it made it to the US, which I thought it would be. I thought people would be surprised. I didn't realize how many people would be surprised. I didn't realize how angry people would get.
Of course, I'd be angry too.
Yeah, that they gave the clothes for free, and it's really just a big business. And if you look at it, it's like, who's making all the money? It's the big middlemen companies moving the product, and the government taxing it. Everyone else is fighting for a bit of the scraps.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't even know how I can describe it, but Mtumba business is like one of the biggest industries. And it's been there for like decades, man. Decades. And people make a lot of money. And I can tell you for a fact that even now, if you go to... And I remember like a while back, I used to thrift, right? And just buy like the clothes and stuff. And of course, now I don't anymore, because now I can just buy my Fashion Nova, get it shipped slowly. But I remember it got to a point where like Mtumba clothes got so expensive. And I'm trying to explain to my guy, like, yo, come on, I'm seeing this thing online. How are you selling it to me like almost the same price for a used product? And then after a while, I just stopped. I said, I'd rather buy new than that. But to be honest, like for people who are still thrifting even right now, it's super expensive. Because shipping costs have gone higher. The dollar rate has gone higher. And there's nothing they can do about it. But you still need to
buy clothes.
And
there's no alternative textile industry here because the Mtumba destroyed it.
No, that's true. Actually, that's true. And I don't know, but like you've said, and now when you're doing such a piece of story, even though for now, we can't just say it's just a TikTok video, because getting 3 million views, and like we can approximate probably like it's 2 million people who are like probably angry at like just the whole situation and whatever is going on. You're not afraid of like maybe this middleman, like, reaching out to like, yo, Rory, you're fucking up with
That is always a risk.
Yes. Because like if you say people who can pay, they pay Red Cross to use their logo. So that now people can put the clothes in the bag and knowing it's going to a good cause. And ideally, even these kids who are waiting for those clothes, like, happy kids in Africa, no. They're not getting those clothes. So it's unfortunate, but, that's just how it is, though. Okay, so what other piece of, like, could I say investigative content have you just thought about, like, doing, or it's in the works that we should be looking out for?
The follow-up for Mtumba is what I did yesterday, which I wanted to focus on, because a lot of the comments were, at least these clothes aren't ending up in a landfill. And it was Americans saying that. Like, they're not ending up in a dump site in the U.S.
Okay.
And I'd shown the video. I had met some, like, environmentalist-type foreigners here. And they were like, it's so great you're telling this story. Do you know how much waste this industry causes? And I'm like, I got a few comments on that. And the majority of people defending this process, and I want to be careful with this next video, that the message, because it's hard with TikTok to have something that people watch all the way through. It needs to be short and sweet. You need to get to the point.
True.
But most of these issues have some nuance and depth.
That you want to put out a little bit more.
And you can't hit it as much. For the second one, I made a point to be like, the moral of this isn't stop donating clothes. Like, we can't just have this industry stop overnight. That would be disastrous for the people in the business, as well as just people buying clothing here. But I wanted to focus on the negative part of it, which is the tons of waste that's now just getting dumped in the Nairobi River. So I went back yesterday. I found a good contact who could help take me around and do an interview, and just show it. And it was actually, what shocked me was how much waste I saw. And they're like, this is like 2 days old. Like, when the rains came a few days ago, it actually took it. This was giant before. And I'm like, if this is 2 days worth of waste, like, this is actually a massive problem. And it doesn't entirely make sense why there isn't a proper dump site for Gikoma, why there's no investment in that.
Yeah. And even to think about it, like, I don't even know where the waste goes in general. But I remember I have a friend. Oh, and actually, this is somebody maybe I can put you in contact with, depending on whether he'd want to do, like, something with you and help you out. Because he was telling me, like, about, he has a garbage collection business.
Okay.
So there's a dump site where they normally go and throw, like, everything there. And he was telling me about how, because even for me, I couldn't picture it, because to me, it just sounded like a little bit absurd. But he was saying, like, from the dump site, like, there used to be, after they throw everything there, there used to be kids who now just come and scavenge for pieces of things that they can be, like, collectibles. Yeah. But other kids actually ate food from, like, they'd gather, like, if it's a piece of pizza or something they've never tried out, like, they normally go to the dump site and actually try out new food.
Wow.
Like, do their own, not joke about it, but do, like, their own personal reviews. Like, hey, I've tried this today. And he was saying, like, to him, it was like, so it's something that he had never seen. He was shocked, but now he's already used to it. So I can put you in contact with him, and, you can see, like, if you can do more research on that as well.
Yeah.
But, okay, now, even that aside now, probably, what else has intrigued you, like, about Nairobi and...
Oh, yeah.
And okay. And actually finish. I won't forget the question that I want to ask.
I think one story I want to dig into, and this is harder, something that needs to be deeper, but I'm repeatedly, I don't say who it is, but I'm meeting a lot of smaller organizations that are doing some sort of charitable work in Nairobi. And there seems to be a repeated trend of big, well-funded Western NGOs, and they have stories of them sabotaging them because they don't want to actually solve the problem because
the money won't come in.
Because they make money treating the symptom. And I think this is a much more dangerous video to do.
Listen.
It's going to be super hard to get people involved, but this is one thing I want to do well, and I think it'll take time. But this is, I think, a big story that could piss a lot of people off, but is worth telling because it seems to
revoke your visa. Revoke your visa, because the thing is, but that's a really good piece.
Yeah.
If you do it, because I think, and I'll let you just finish up on that, because I think the biggest issue has always been, and even there've been conversations about this evolving around, like, NGOs, people making a lot of money, donations are coming in, because this is like a whole career on its own. And you have to understand, like, for this to exist, there are also middlemen in the government, of course, officials that are benefiting. And we're not talking about, like, just
we're talking about
like
the big fish.
Pocket change or anything. Because let's just say, hypothetically, or for example, let's just throw a name out there. Let's say maybe the Bill Gates Foundation or Melinda Gates. Somebody who's been open talking about, like, how even when he dies, he wants to donate a majority of his wealth to the needy.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine how much money we're talking about if it's just being donated and it's falling into the hands of people who are just going to do whatever they want with it. It won't help. Like you said, they'll just put a Band-Aid and make sure even the next billionaire keeps donating money. Like, who's the guy who just died? Warren Buffett's friend.
Okay.
I posted him yesterday.
Today or
like 24 hours ago. Charlie Munger.
Charlie Munger.
Yeah. So he just passed. You can only imagine if, like, he has, like, a charitable organization thing that he has going on, and, like, $2 billion sent to Nairobi, Kenya somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. People are just building flats and apartments. I'm not going to go. So, but anyway, what made you like just want to go into that without stepping any? Okay, you'll definitely step on some toes for sure. But why the interest in that, even though it's dangerous?
That wasn't my intention coming here at all.
Yeah,
I think the Mtumba video shocked me.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the reach, and then having a bit of a journalistic background, I haven't done any journalism for years. I realized, like, oh, wait a minute. There is a point where it is fun making videos, eating mutura, and doing things Kenyans like. But for me as a creator as well, I'm like, at the end of the day, what's the purpose of what I'm actually doing? You know, where can I actually have real impact? And I think what I saw with the Mtumba video, I was like, oh, wow, I can actually, like, there's millions of people now that are aware of something. If this other video builds awareness on waste, it's probably not going to inspire any change. But I'm at least planting some seed, and I'm giving something to people.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, and I think right now I'm like, I just turned 30. I'm at the age where I'm constantly struggling to look for, like, what is my purpose? Because it's definitely not making money selling tech. That's what I do to survive. It's what I've done to pay the bills. I always get very tired of these jobs because they feel empty.
You just deliver. Yes, you get paid, and I'm always telling people, and sorry to cut you off, but I'll let you just don't forget your chain of thought. Because I'm always telling people it'll get to a point where it's not just, okay, people, yes, are obsessed with money, but it'll get to a point, but that's when you're not getting like just maybe cash consistently. But it'll get to a point where you're looking for a different purpose. I think maybe a creative or just as men probably we look for a different purpose.
Yeah.
But for me personally, you might write me a big check, but if it doesn't serve me any purpose, I know after a while, it just won't make it will be of no use.
It's true. And I think it's hard to tell people that are struggling to make ends meet month after month and don't have any, like, especially people here where there's not jobs.
Yeah.
It's money is everything, business is everything. If I tell them about doing TikTok, they're like, well, how's the business? I'm like, this isn't a business. This is a passion project that could be a business. And I could see the face of Kenyans just being confused.
What are you saying?
But it's like, if I've now worked years where when I do work, I get a consistent base paycheck. I can sell a lot of software, so I get good commissions. Once you're comfortable in that for a while and I have a bit of savings, I'm the least happy I ever am. I'm like, what am I doing? I just wake up every morning and I'm doing a job that's meaningless for me for a paycheck. There's no bigger purpose here. And I start craving, how can I do something else? And I think once you feel comfort, there's been studies to show, obviously the figures change, but studies have shown that people, like, once they reach over 100,000 or a certain level of income in the United States, the amount of happiness you get from dollar earned starts plummeting. It's like a diminishing return. So I don't think money is the thing. And it's always been weird. I think a lot of my bosses and CEOs, as trying to manage me as a salesperson, most salespeople are super motivated by money. And I'm not.
Just money driven. It's like, yo, I need my commission. I need my commission. Yeah.
I'm not that way at all. So you have, like, I need to fill a bigger purpose, need this. And that is what drives me to make videos, because it's creative. And then now that I'm making these videos, I feel like I'm being pulled more into how do you make videos that are more meaningful, that are spreading awareness, that could actually impact people's lives and not just entertain. Not that there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that's what we do as content creators. A lot of it is entertaining people, but there's more to it.
And even just by you saying that, I think I can also just piggyback on that. It's like, I think I'm always trying to explain to people, like, you know, a lot of people, when we're having like even conversations, be like, yo, I want a big house. It's like, okay, that's cool. Let's assume you have the big house that you want. Somebody gives you the biggest house that you want today, maybe 12 bedroom and everything. Nice view of Nairobi and everything. It's like, okay, what else would you want? I would want 6 cars. Be like, okay, let's assume you have those 6 cars. You just think about, like, if that's the one thing that would make you happy, you'd wake up in a big ass house, 12 bedroom, 6 cars, and you're waking up to that every single day. Are you telling you have to be like a fucking psychopath by the end of the year to still be happy? Like waking up in the morning, it's boring. There is no purpose, no fulfillment in any way because it's just an object.
I was lucky too.
That's it.
To like for where I grew up in, oftentimes my family is financially struggling. So money was always an issue, and I think that helped raise me to appreciate it. But I still grew up in the United States.
Yeah.
My dad lives in an area outside of Los Angeles. He has a nice house, like a really cool house, nice property. At one point, he was spending way too much money on a BMW. My car broke down. He let me borrow it for a week. And it was I had enough privilege to grow up to realize, for me, if I spend every day in this house, it starts to feel like a jail because I want a community. I want somewhere to go out.
Yeah.
I don't just want to sit there. So I learned like, yes, it's like cool to have this. I think it's a good goal, but that's not the end. And then driving the BMW was super fun for 2 or 3 days, especially showing off to everybody.
And that's it.
And then it felt the exact same as my Honda.
Yeah.
And I remember realizing, I was like, I'm never gonna own an expensive car. You should own a very practical car, and then you should just rent a Ferrari when you want to go
when
drive
you want
fast.
the adrenaline or something, but don't expect it to make you that happy. Like, I think some people, like, just because of lacking, you think if you get it, it's just going to make you extremely happy every single day. Once you drive it, that's it. That's it. It's done. In fact, you'd rather just go to the car dealer and just do the test drive and go back home, drive your car.
And I think it's a problem with like society, capitalism, where people flex it to try to give status. But I feel like you have to willfully ignore every single celebrity and rich person who almost every single one of them says, this doesn't make me happy. There's sometimes the richest people are sometimes the most miserable. One thing just through traveling, I've now been to 30 countries.
30?
Yeah. One thing I've noticed, and it's a big thing I think growing up in the suburbs in the US, is the richer people become, the more isolated they become.
Yeah.
You look at it where like people in Kibera and the slum, it's an incredibly hard life, but that's like some of the most amazing community I've been around. They have
everybody
friends,
shaking
family.
hands, smiling,
they're outside. The people aren't just sitting in their house watching TV. They're out. They have it. And I've seen through societies as people get richer and richer and richer, they get their compound, they put a giant wall up, they go home, they sit maybe with their family, and if they're lucky to have that, at some point maybe they get older, the kids move out, and I just saw where I'm like, the consequence of wealth is isolation.
It's the worst. Can you imagine? Like, and I'll let you finish that as well. I'm sorry again.
No.
Because the thing is,
can you imagine?
Can you imagine? Like, you have a big ass compound, and that's the thing that people never even realize. And that's why, like, I always tell people, like, I always want to see kind of my neighbors.
Yeah.
Like, I'd prefer to peep outside the balcony. You can see someone. I can see some kids out there, and like I do my daily runs every single day. But I cannot imagine living around a property where, like, it's just okay. It might sound good for vacation, but it's just grass. Let's say I'm married and I have kids, and then once the kids go to college, it's me and wifey alone. Yeah. Maybe she needs to travel. I'm all alone in that house and compound. Hell no.
Yep.
Hell no. I won't be. I won't be okay.
It's like a golden prison.
yeah. Like you have everything. You have your nice supercars in the compound.
Yeah.
You have the big house that you wanted. And that's why I think like just your whole sense of purpose has to be something else, something bigger. If you have an organization that you wake up in the morning, go maybe mentor like youths.
Yeah.
If you have like your youth as a creator now, that's where like even content creation, best thing ever. Because even I always tell people that for me, I'm not making money through my podcast, but I really love just doing episodes with different people who are coming here, telling me about their experiences. I learn and network from them. And now knowing that like I've known them like even in person, like the next time I want to ask them about something or travel somewhere, I'll be like, yo, you talked about traveling to this country. How's the experience? People here are going to try rip me off. What's the exchange rate? All those things. Like you learn so much through podcasting and networking. For me, it's really, really fulfilling.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. But like you've said, more wealth, more isolation. And it's just kind of something that you have to pick and choose like where you want to be. But, to each his own though. But yeah, you can continue like if you want to touch on that.
On top of that, like I think it's part of why I started making videos again. I was traveling whenever I could be in between jobs and I had some savings, or maybe the company sold and I got like at least a few $1,000s, and I'm like, okay, I can stretch this for a few months and go see a new country. One thing I noticed with traveling is it's everyone's dream, but then when you're traveling for a while, it actually ends up getting quite boring.
Really?
Yeah. Because
it's solo traveling.
Like solo traveling, but even if you go with friends, then you're gonna want to like kill each other after a month. I have 2 friends I can travel with. Even when we travel for months at a time, we usually have breaks from each other. Where you go there, I go here. We'll meet when we feel like it. Mm-hmm. And I found that like as part of also why I wanted to come back to make videos here is like I want to come back to Kenya, and making TikToks, especially now that people are watching them, is opening so many doors where I'm experiencing things I never would experience before. Yeah. I wake up in the morning and I'm not thinking about what site am I going to go see. I'm like, what story am I going to tell today? What video can I work on? What comment was interesting? Should I DM them and see if they want to work with me? And I find it's the same idea. Even travel is an ideal of everyone, but it's the same thing as like getting a nice house or getting a car. At some point, it kind of becomes something you're just consuming that loses meaning. In an extended period of time. So you have to find a way to make it meaningful.
Were you making content when you're going through the other countries?
Not really. I didn't make content.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's why. Now that I'm making content, I could if I just had money coming in every month from some business or something, I would just keep doing this for a while, just making videos, finding interesting stories, finding ways to make an impact, and I would be perfectly happy. If I had that same money, but I didn't have videos and I was just wandering, I would get bored. And I've seen this with digital nomads. I've seen this with older people that do really well in business that I've met, have a lot of cash, invest it, they're financially set. And every single one of them, after 2 years of wandering, I find them always starting to settle in a place and either getting back to work because they're bored or starting an organization.
True.
Because we need purpose. It's like we're wired for it. We come from we come from tribes in the in the desert surviving.
I think for my case, I did my first Euro trip like a few months ago, and we did probably like 10 or 12 countries. Oof. I mean, we even ended up in Ibiza. So I was just like, you know what, this is nice, but the experience wouldn't have been as fun if it wasn't like a group thing, because we went like a group of almost like 35, 40 people or even more.
That's a good size.
Yeah, so like, even the tourist places, like, if you're trying to figure out directions, you'd rather wander, get lost, try and figure it out, get drunk here, you have somebody looking out for you, introducing you to new meals, shopping experiences. But I can only just flip that and think of how I'd have done 12 countries alone. No.
And how long were you traveling for?
We did 3 weeks.
3 weeks, okay.
And the whole of Europe.
That's a whirlwind. That's like a rock star tour.
No, it was real. And we did the Euro trip. Once we landed there, we just got a bus. Yeah. And we were just going around with a bus. Okay. So one town to the next, in France, from one city to the next one. And it was like, just like you said, just like a rock star tour. Yeah. Once we got to Amsterdam, of course, the whole excitement's like, what? People can just smoke weed here. It's being sold everything is so new, but you get to experience it with someone. Because now you can take pictures of each other, you can tell stories. And I made so much content. I kept on deleting like old videos on my phone. My memory cards are full. But to me, I felt so happy because now I have Euro trip videos that I can keep posting stories about and create more content, do narrations that I think I can spread them out till March, maybe next year when I'm traveling somewhere else. Yeah. But the experience, like you said, traveling alone, you have to be also like a really strong person. Let's just say that. Yeah. Because it's not as much fun if it's just going, sipping your mimosas on the hotel, posting one Instagram picture. I wouldn't be happy, honestly. Yeah. No, it won't work for me. But with someone or friends or a group, that makes more sense. Yeah. Okay, so you've said 30 countries, because like even for my case, I thought just because you've done like your TikTok videos in Kenya, Kampala, and Egypt. Yeah. I didn't know about the other countries. So what other countries would you say like they were exciting for you, even as much as you're not doing content, but just visiting them, cultural experience, maybe just moving around the people that was really interesting for you?
So I like chaos. So India has always been interesting. India's quite an interesting place.
Oh yeah, how's India?
What I thought the first time I went to it, it was too overwhelming. I actually was after a month, I was ready to go home.
Really?
But it's because I had only traveled Western and a bit of Eastern Europe, and I got really overconfident and thought I can do anything.
It's chill.
Then I just flew alone to Egypt and was like, oh no, this is a whole nother world. But I've been back. And when I went back after traveling in South America and after living abroad, I was like, okay, I like this place. I can deal. And I think now India is like a shock to the system that helps you to deal with places that are less formal.
Tell us. Why?
It's just complete chaos. Everything is a free for all. You constantly need to look out for scams. You have to hone the sense of who's being authentic or not, because there's two options. You can be super open and naive and get scammed all the time. Or on the extreme, you could be super closed off and assume everyone's a scammer and then miss out on amazing friendships and opportunities.
That's true.
And there is where you have to hone it. And I think that skill is something that pays dividends in somewhere like Kenya, where you have to have the same. It's not as intense. I honestly don't think there's as the tourism industry, at least where you're at in the city, isn't as developed. So there isn't as many people whose job is to scam tourists.
Yeah.
But you do have to go through and read people and make a quick judgment. Is this an authentic person that I should give some trust to? Or is this somebody I need to say no? I always tell people I've learned the most important word, I don't know if it's as a foreigner or if it's anybody in Kenya, is no.
I just say no.
No? Or kesho. Kesho.
Oh yeah. Kesho is good. Kesho is good.
No, and if they don't accept no, kesho, because that's a respectful lie.
Kesho is more respectful, and just they know you're lying, but there's nothing. It's just a polite way of saying no, which makes sense. But out of you've said India, another country that you had a unique experience. And the whole thing that's going on with India right now, online, is the intense, what do you call it? Intense street food. Have you seen the videos?
Yes.
So, I haven't gone to India, but probably that's on my list as well. How was the
food's amazing.
Food's amazing?
I like the food, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The street food?
A variety, you can...
Are you talking about the street food that we're seeing now on TikTok and...
Yeah. Those are the best. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's a huge trend on TikTok now. They're just filming them doing this cruise. And it depends on, you have to travel to different regions.
Yeah, but it's culture shock, because if you haven't seen it, and I think at times you have to experience something before you...
Yeah.
So
but I quite like the food. I like spicy food. So my mom's side of the family from a few generations are from Mexico. So my grandma cooked super spicy food. I'm addicted to spice. Last time I went to India, I had some friends. It was through people I'd worked with as well. We became friends, and they had taken me and they told me I was the only white person they've met that could handle this level of spice.
So you like hot food?
I like hot food, yeah. But I think for most Kenyans, you can handle it, because you guys aren't. It's not super spicy, the food here, but there is the culture. You're not as bad as Europeans or even South Americans that often they can't even touch it and they freak out. So I think Kenyans could handle it, but it is a bit overwhelming. The number one way to describe India, whether it's the food or the environment or the smell, everything is just an overwhelm of every sense of all of your senses.
Because I think for my case, the most horrible food I've ever eaten was Europe food doesn't taste like anything.
It's bland.
I don't even understand, because I think, where was it? Was it in Germany? Even the sausages, I was like, there's no way you can have sausages that do not have taste.
Yeah.
We'd serve a spread of breakfast and you can't taste anything. The eggs, nothing. The tomatoes, nothing. I feel sorry for people who have to eat that food.
But they don't mind, because they also think paprika. I lived in Germany for years.
Yeah,
they think paprika is spicy.
But even a little bit of seasoning, they don't put seasoning at all in food. So that was strange for me. And I think until we got to Barcelona, and then we got some Pakistan joints and everything, and then we're like, okay, now this is food that we can actually eat. And we're eating so much, because it was the closest we could relate to almost home. Where else do you think they have Like really good food out of all the countries you've visited?
I think Mexico, actually.
Mexico?
Mexico, yeah.
It's good.
It has amazing cuisine. It's a wide variety. If you go to like the Oaxaca region as well, like there's a city as well as like a state, the food's amazing.
That's
there.
in Mexico as well?
In Mexico, yeah.
Okay.
It's called Oaxaca. And I think it has a total street food culture. Some of it reminds me, I grew up a lot eating tortillas and beans. And what do I have for every single day for breakfast here? Chapati and beans.
Oh, that's what you eat every day in the morning?
Every single day, basically.
Every single day. But chapatis are nice.
And tea.
But
and it's very similar. Chapatis remind me of tortillas. The beans, it's pinto beans. It's like, I see a lot of overlap.
So is it coconut beans, kind of, or just regular beans?
Just like you guys eat the brown beans. We call them pinto beans. That's the exact same stuff you'll eat.
Have you tried, like, because, you know, like down at the coast they have, it's called mbazi.
Okay.
It's like a coconut, but it has a blend of coconut. Really, really tasty.
I don't think I've tried that.
You haven't?
No.
But you've been to the coast, right?
Yeah, I've been to Mombasa and Diani.
Then maybe you should, because that's also common there for, like, that's what they would serve also, like, for breakfast with the little mandazis called mahamri.
Okay.
So next time you're there, ask for mahamri and mbazi beans. I think, if I'm not wrong, I'm sure that you love if you like you know, that Mexican kind of cuisine. And then, what other experience? Have you been to Nigeria?
I've not, no.
What? You're talking about chaos. You go there.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
You've been?
No, I haven't. But just from watching the videos, like, if India is pressure, I'm sure Nigeria is pressure. Like,
I've heard, yeah.
Like 5 or 6 times. Because even if it's like going to the market, it sounds wild. Yeah. It seems like it's a bit on the extreme, but I hear it's also like quite an experience. And people are like just cutthroat with everything.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, and
of
course,
I have since I first watched my first Nollywood film. For like, it's been like 10 years now. I've been like, I want to be in one. That is a bucket list item, is to get into one of the movies, even just as an extra.
No, that's also like an experience you need to take off if that's something that you want. And then another thing I'd want to ask is like, okay, which other country are you looking for? I know we can tell for sure, definitely you love Kenya. Yeah. But what other country do you think you would really like to just knock off your list?
So I'm considering going in January, just for a few weeks, to Pakistan.
Pakistan. Okay.
I've always wanted to go. When I was traveling in India before, at that time, the visa for Americans was very hard.
To Pakistan?
To Pakistan, yeah.
Really?
Because of the issues with the governments.
Oh, okay.
There was, yeah. So you could get in, but you had to, I think you had to really apply. You usually had to convince somebody. And I just kind of wrote it off as something that I couldn't do. And I think you also had to like have a tour. Like you had to have somebody follow you. Like that's how they did it back then.
What?
There's countries like that. I just found out like last week that the rules have changed in the last couple of years, and I can do a visa on like tourist visa on arrival like here.
Okay, and even
online.
And I have a question even for that, just to ask, throw it now back at you, because now like for us, you already know, like for Kenyans to travel anywhere, oh my God, the bank statements, the paperwork that you need and everything, like. Is there any country that you can, okay, apart from like Pakistan, like holding an American passport, is there any country that you can go to like without showing like probably, do you need to show bank statements when you're visiting any country?
None, I believe so.
What?
The only one now that Pakistan is easy, I think the only one I'd have issues going to is Iran.
No. And those are, okay, I don't want to say intense countries, but I'm just saying, like, you've never been asked for bank statements going to any country? What? I think.
The most I've ever had was like going into Panama. They want to see that you have enough cash to float you how many days you say you're saying.
Panama, I don't even think Panama is expensive anyway.
Yeah. So that's like, I was like, I have $100. They're like, okay, cool.
Really?
Yeah, we're very privileged.
Jeez.
Americans, most of the European passports, like especially the Western European, very privileged.
That's wild. Because like I think for a case, maybe for you, I'd say for just going to Europe, we need close to, should I say five? I'd say to be on the safe side, just have at least $5,000 first of all in your account consistently for 6 months.
Wow.
At least. Just to show, first of all, that, you know...
Financially stable.
Financially stable. Apart from that, like, economic ties in your country. So that you're working somewhere or you have a business.
Something you have to go back to.
A car, property. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Basically, they're telling you, first of all, if you're not doing well, just stay your ass back at home. You're not going in, and you're not leaving us for any other opportunity out there. So it's unfortunate, but I don't know what kind of like meetings they would have and discuss, like that's like a policy they would want to have for people to leave their countries without negotiating that with like other foreign countries.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate, but that's just the case.
Yeah. No, I'm very privileged.
That's nice.
Having a privileged passport helps a lot.
So as long as you feel like
I'm
going
still,
somewhere,
even
you
coming
just go.
here, you're complaining. Other foreigners like, oh, I have to submit this and this, like, and it's just like where you're staying, your flight, and we forget. That.
So even schedule of where you're staying,
going to the U.S. is super hard. Yeah, here you have to show like your booking, and like a flight out of the country, but that's it.
Hey, listen, man, I'm lost for words by the way. I mean, that passport, and I understand why it's not easy for people to just move there and try get a passport, and I understand why people try to get married there and like actually have like such a passport.
Because it opens up a lot.
A lot of opportunities. Because I'm guessing like now if you want to go and work somewhere, okay, what's the interest with Iran and Pakistan for that matter?
For me, for Pakistan, it's just somewhere I've always wanted to go. When I was in India and then being an ignorant American, had no idea that it was like one nation split. There's a lot of overlap. I kind of learned that over time, and it just became. And then also, I was like, I wanted to go. Then it was, then it just seemed like it seemed hard. Like I needed to have a real reason. And I didn't, so I figured this is somewhere for later. And then now that I figured out that it could be easy, it's like somewhere that would be interesting for me. It's also quite cheap, so you can spread your money farther.
In Pakistan.
Yeah.
Iran.
Iran, I've also somewhere I want to go because I've had a lot of German friends that have gone and say that it's amazing. The people are friendly. I think. Something you learn, especially being American, is that the people are radically different than the government, even if they put them in power. Yeah. A lot of people hate the United States government for very valid reasons, me included. But the people are different. So I always knew, like, very quickly from traveling that, like, oh yeah, people are different than their government. So yeah, that's something I want to see. But like Iran's not somewhere I plan to go anytime soon. But I was looking for where should I go in January? I do want to get out of this region for a bit. My plan is to come back to Kenya. I like it here. I really like Nairobi. I think.
Somalia.
I do want to go to Somalia, but that's one place I'm a bit scared of.
Why? I like dangerous places. You said, you like the adrenaline.
I do.
And I'm not saying that it's dangerous, but I hear it's also intense.
Yeah, I've heard it's intense. I've heard it's intense. I heard it's expensive as well, because I think you do need to pay for protection while you're there. Like,
oh, yeah. Because, the embassy has to, if they, the people who, like, capture people, if they, have you, the government has to pay,
Yeah. So I think that's something. That is.
But have you done your research? Because I don't know. I've not gone there, so I do not know. I just know, like in Kenya, it's a bit different. We are very welcoming for one. Like just as a country, of course, there are people who will try and take advantage, but I don't think anyone is kidnapping you in Kenya.
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And South Sudan
could be interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting place. You can go check out because also like a lot of basketball stars are actually scouted from South Sudan.
That's wow.
Yeah, so like I went there and did like a few documentaries. I'm not sure whether you need protection, but for us we did. But it's definitely a very interesting place. The food, good, amazing, and also like a lot of talent. Like when we're talking about like high-end fashion models, definitely South Sudan will give you like the best. Basketball players, I could see like 13-year-olds who are like 6'5", close to 7, and they're playing basketball like crazy, like madness. So, I mean, that was also like a really unique experience that, anyone who can, that's something you can go and experience.
Okay.
It's not bad. Another country that maybe I can ask you about, Southeast Asia, anywhere you've been?
I've been to Vietnam.
Vietnam?
Yeah, Vietnam's cool. It's a very interesting place. I love pho, like the beef noodle soup.
Oh yeah.
That's a place I liked. Renting motorcycles and driving around was quite a good time. That's what I did with like two of my best friends that I travel with. And
the ones who gave you a headache.
They're like the only two, and we as a crew do well because when there's three people, there's always two will always be getting along at any given time.
And you can always switch.
And also, it's good for deciding things. One challenge being primarily a solo traveler. Since I left Germany for like almost 2 years now, or actually it's been 2 years now, always kind of floating around and being a bit on my own. You always make friends or you meet up with friends, but I'm quite used to doing whatever I want whenever I want. Work is the only, like, I need to do this for work, but then once that's done, I can go here, I can do this, I can do that. When you're with a group of people, you now need, it's a democracy. You need to make a consensus.
You need to vote, yeah. And like, guys, do you feel like we should go here? Do you feel like we should? Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you have three people, then it's quite easy to just be like, all right, two of us want to do this.
Let's do this, or you can wait for us.
Yeah.
And then even like another question, like just even how you're talking about moving around, and I want to know how you deal with this, because anywhere you go, of course, you're forming bonds, relationships with people.
Yeah.
And then after like a short duration, you have to move to a different place. Like, how does that leave you mentally? Because like even for me at times, like just getting used to people and then you have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even like, let's say maybe you've probably met like a cute girl somewhere and you're like, you know what? Like you're kicking it off, you're doing dates, you're eating your noodles here on the street today, and then after 2 weeks you have to leave.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even just deal with that mentally without it like just weighing you down? Because I'd be, I don't know how I'd feel.
It's a big challenge, actually. One thing I've realized is that it does weigh on you. Living digital nomad life and being able to usually get 3 to 6 month visas, you can spend more time. So it's not as like, intense friendship, relationship, whatever, and then you're out. But there usually is some restriction, and at some point you have to move on. And that does cause problems.
Yeah.
I noticed quickly when I started being a proper digital nomad and I was in Mexico and moving around, I was meeting Americans and other people that had been like software engineers, people that had been doing this like way before everyone was doing it. And one of the number one things I took away from them is they all regretted not focusing more on building a base or at least a couple bases somewhere where you have a solid group of friends, you have some community. Yeah. Because I would meet ones that be like, trust me, if you keep doing this, by year 3, you're going to be weird. Really? It actually makes it like, I met a guy who's like a really cool guy that was just like, I started feeling really weird because I wasn't building any foundation of anything. Everything starts to feel like fake. And it just doesn't feel permanent, it doesn't feel real.
Yeah, because now you can't even call someone like, hey, friend, can we go catch a movie? Can we go to this place? Because you've already moved from the place that you already had that connection of like food, whether it's music, content creation. That can be kind of challenging. Because even like for me, I was enjoying my trip when I was doing like the Euro trip. And then I was like, man, like in fact, the craziest part is like there's some countries we could only spend 24 hours in and that's it. Like Italy, we just did probably like 12 hours and we were out. And I can only imagine now, where was it? Like in Barcelona, I remember like I met this girl at the airport and we're just talking for like just 20 minutes. And I'm like, man, like if I could have a chance to go out for lunch with her the next day, this would have been really nice. And unfortunately had to leave. Yeah. And she was just like, yo, here's my number, here's my Instagram, but you're going all the way to Kenya.
You'll be Instagram friends for years, but you'll probably never see each other again.
I felt so bad because like you can only imagine you have like that, like you have that chemistry, you're smiling, you're like, yo, by the like, yo, I mean, it would have been, I wish I knew you yesterday, but then you have to say goodbye to this person. It's just like,
That's why now I believe in building bases. So starting to...
By building base, what do you mean exactly?
Investing time in friendships and some stability in different cities and different countries that you can move around to. So I don't think when you first like start as a digital nomad, you hit what you think is the dream, which is moving around, every month, new city, excitement. Then you start finding places you like, you slow down, you stay a month, maybe you stay 2, maybe you stay 3. I think the final evolution is to like have 1 or 2 home bases, or just different places that you frequent. Like I love Berlin, but I love it in the summer. The rest of the year, the weather's terrible. It's kind of depressing. I have so many friends there. My dream life is like summers in Berlin, then maybe 3 months here, then maybe 3 months in Mexico City, and then 3 months at home, or just moving, just floating around like that. I think that's it. And I think obviously there's financial constraints. You have to it's hard to, I'd see the happiest people tend to have a home base somewhere they have a lot of community and then travel frequently. So they have a base they're always coming back to, and then they go. I've seen this sometimes with content creators. I think the happiest YouTubers, once they hit certain financial stability, is they live in Mexico City because that's where they're from or their family is. And then whenever they need to film, they go away for a month, film everything, come back for 2 months, do post-production, planning, pre and post-production, then they leave for a month. I could see as a content creator that being my dream life, is having a home base and then going out and doing videos. But only time will tell.
And even with that being said, what's your take on, because I've seen now there's just a craze with all people once they get to a sort of financial, not peak, but just comfort. A lot of digital nomads from the West, they're going to Bali.
Yeah.
What's the obsession with Bali, and what are just your thoughts on the Bali and digital nomads? I don't understand, but I'm just saying everyone seems to be.
Originally, it seemed to be popular because it was like the standard of living you could have relative to the cost compared to what you're bringing or what you're making. Even if you're making a few $100s with your internet business from the US, you could live very well. I think that's what it was. I doubt it's that cheap anymore now I think it's just super trendy.
I've seen people being asked about rent and I'm like 2,000, 3,000. I mean, that's not cheap.
I think that's everywhere. Everywhere is cheap until it's trendy.
After it trends now, people are talking about $3,000. I'm like, in Bali? You just left New York. Yeah. Okay, maybe New York, definitely the rent is kind of of course, a bit crazy right now. And everybody's just talking about hard economic times. But even just on that note, let me just ask you another important question. Is do you have any investments in digital assets? Because how else are you capable of just tracking your finances and just being at least kind of comfortable, as much as you're moving around, creating content? Of course, you have to also just think about the future, of course. You don't want to be 50 and now still trying to figure it I don't know what I'm supposed to do yet. You can't, so do you have any assets aside that, generate you some passive income or investments?
I used to invest in crypto.
And then what happened?
Last time I was here, actually 2 years ago, I had a few thousand in Binance, and then my phone got stolen in Kampala, so I lost the 2-factor authentication. When I went to go reset it, they froze my account for a year to investigate what I was doing. And Binance is a terrible company. I hate them.
Really?
They weren't. What I found out.
What do you mean?
What actually ended up happening is the support people. I was putting in requests every few days.
Because Binance is my go-to. Oh.
This was Binance US because I'm American.
Oh,
it's a separate entity.
It's separate. Yeah,
it's a separate entity because we always have to go with a separate entity just because of the regulation. But they had me convinced that they were investigating me for money laundering and that it would be a long process.
Come on.
What I ended up doing to get out of it, I almost gave up. I was just I'm never going to see this money again. At that point, I was getting such a sour taste. Anything crypto I saw would make me feel off. I couldn't even watch documentary because I would just make me you idiot. How did you lock up this money? I ended up cutting my trip short because I started just I was racking up debt and I'm I need to start working because if I don't see this money again and I just have now thousands in debt, this is not smart.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So then what I ended up doing is I just went, when I was about to give up, I couldn't sleep one night and I just went on a Twitter storm and I have no following on Twitter. Every single thing for 20 hours. I just didn't sleep. I just always commented my story, Binance is a scam, my story, my story, my story, my story. Eventually the social media team reached out and said, can you please stop We're going to have somebody call you in an hour.
Really?
What's your number? Then an account manager hit me up who I think works with big accounts. Went and said, I'm so sorry. This is an internal issue we need to deal with. You were never under investigation. They didn't want to deal with it because of something got flagged and it was just a few extra steps. Every single support person was just closing it off for a year.
A whole year.
And then within 24 hours, I had all my money back.
There you go. There you go.
And I actually kept, through, I forget what the other, Coinbase. I had money in, I've mostly just Bitcoin and Ethereum. I played around with the smaller coins.
Solana?
I think it's money in Solana. I did like, I had like, there's another one too, but mostly I found those to be the most stable. I kept it. I think if you look at the lifetime of it, I basically turned a small profit. It was super high. I didn't sell. It crashed. Yeah. In the end, because I had been adding money slowly for many years, I made a little bit. And then I think when Coinbase started having some issues, it looked, and I was like, I'm not getting even this money frozen again. So then I just pulled out.
So you're out of crypto game?
Out of crypto, yeah.
Oh, okay. For me, I think I'll just stay there because, just being in Nairobi, can't expect people. I can't rely on brands and companies and other things to be, like my main source of feed. So I do have like my bonds. I do have government bonds, and also I have like just crypto for long term. And at times when you just need a little bit of change, you can always flip it because we always have those ups and downs. I think that's like a good safety net if somebody's just trying to be passionate, especially for a creative. If you're trying to be passionate, I think it can boost you a bit. But what else do you do on the side that
I do also have one. I've used to invest more in the stock market. Right now, my only position, which paid off very well, was Nvidia.
Really?
So they're the ones making,
that's an individual stock that you bought?
Yeah. They're the ones making the GPUs that are being used by most of these artificial intelligence, like machine learning companies. Mm-hmm. When ChatGPT came out and I saw the craze and I was following a lot of people on Twitter, I always think the best investment strategy with that type of thing is if there's this new craze coming, who's selling the pickaxes and shovels? Yeah. And for that, I was like, let me just put some money in there and see what happens. And that I was very lucky. It was perfect timing. That took off, and that's the only thing I'm holding because I still believe in it. Other than that, I've sort of stayed out.
S&P 500.
Not right now.
For a long time.
Not right now.
No.
But also because I'm traveling and I have a finite amount of money I'm going through before I start working again.
Yeah.
I do think longer term, part of why I like being here is I want to be able to make income from abroad that's quite decent and then potentially invest it here. I think there's maybe not here, maybe Uganda. I think Canada is quite competitive, but I see part of why I like being here as well is a lot's changed. I've seen a lot grow, even from 2 years. Yeah. I see a lot of opportunity here. And I think there's also a lot of people here that are super talented and what they need is just an investor.
True.
And it's not even, you often don't even need that much to get things started. And I can see, I do think there's more opportunity here than it would take me a huge fortune to go and invest properly in things in the US. Latin America is even super competitive now. I think here is something people are still sleeping on. You're seeing the international business is getting there. You see things growing, but I think I think that's the plan.
Is it that hard even because just saying being close to California, or you are from California as well?
Yeah, I'm from California.
So is it a hard thing even just tapping into the next big thing when you're close to Silicon Valley? Because I'm just trying to think
regular people don't have access to tapping into it. Not at all.
You can't?
No, all the money is angel investors and VCs.
Oh, so you can't? Even if you wanted?
No.
Really?
Unless you're going to invest when they IPO, which is usually the worst time.
Yeah.
You're just trading.
It's just being in a casino.
You can only trade the stock on the market once it's public, and anybody in the world can trade it. You don't, unless you're in the valley and you're a big player and you have special access to early deals.
Because even from India, I'm guessing now what you're saying is there are gatekeepers even inside just...
Yeah, and of course it's and the people investing are investing big money. It's millions. Yeah. If you're an angel investor, which is super risky, you can do more of that in any industry that you have connections. In theory, if I stayed in the industry I was in, which I don't want to, it was particular type of IT companies.
Yeah.
Managed service providers. Over time, I could be early on deals and invest 20 grand and hope it sells for a few million and I get a payout. But other than that, it's not
that okay.
Starting a business is very hard, very expensive. Versus here, I feel like if you put 30 grand into anything, and even in Nairobi, you can make something that gives cash flows relatively quickly.
Really?
I don't know. I see one of my friends opened a traveler hostel. It's for backpackers.
Oh yeah.
I think you do have to target people that are coming. Foreign people or people with money. But he saw a gap. He invested some money. He's opened it, and it's a great business. And I saw that, and I got inspired. I'm like, whoa, there's opportunity, a lot of opportunity for that here. I could see a potential if Kenya over time becomes more of a digital nomad hotspot. There could be like something I would want potentially to do is actually opening up like they call them co-living, but it's basically a hostel hotel that's designed for people that are working remotely. Opening one of those on the coast with really good internet, good facilities. There's two people, like there's two facilities they have. I know one of the owners in Mexico that opened this, and it's an amazing concept, and it's good money because the people coming they have salaries that are usually foreign salaries. They're making decent money. They want a fun place to live that's good to work. It's a co-working space with living quarters and community. Yeah. And it's also on top of like what's the worst part about being a digital nomad is the lack of community or feeling that. If you can provide that, I could see that. So I see that as something here where when it costs tons of money to open it up and could potentially be making decent money from day one.
Makes sense. Now I can see we've already clocked like our 1 hour. So I'll just try and summarize it up. Now, like also like another question I would ask would be like just because I'm always mentioning health, wealth, love, and happiness. Yeah. Now, even in terms of like now the way you're moving around, do you have a partner? Do you have a girlfriend? Like, how's your situation with like just love, knowing that you're moving from one country to another?
It's difficult.
Yes, it has to be.
Yeah, it becomes difficult. I can get into relationships; they tend to end. It's a difficult piece. I think it's hard. You wait,
I can only imagine because you're comfortable in one space, and even like let's say maybe you're not getting along with someone. There's no even enough time for you to like just mend something that's wrong because you're already gone to there.
It's true. Yeah. On the flip side, though, I lived in Berlin for 6 years and didn't have a relationship. So,
really?
Yeah. I found it difficult to meet anybody that like I really hit it off with.
Why?
If I did, they were traveling and passing through, so it was a fling. Mm-hmm. So I've actually found being more nomadic opens me up to meeting a lot more people. I think a part of the problem too is when you're very stable in a place, you go to work and then you hang out with your friends, and it would be rare to meet new people, especially like people that could be a partner. Something could be a partner.
So dating is not something that you feel like you're missing out on?
Yeah, but also I think at this stage, like, it's not as important to me.
Really?
I do think, like, in 5 years or so, I will be getting more to a point where I'm like, I want to have kids.
Yeah.
I will have done stability.
You just said, I want to have kids. So not even the partner is not the priority.
The partner comes first. Like, you have to find the partner in order to have the kids. But
maybe you'll find a partner specifically because I want to have kids, which,
Well, but I think, too, that depends on cultural things. I've kind of come to believe that, like, the value of marriage, if you remove all of the cultural pressures and norms, is really just in having a stable unit for raising children.
That's true.
So for me, it's not. Dating is a prerequisite, like what you do to find a partner to marry. And it's like until I'm at that point. But yeah, I think it's something it's more likely to happen because I am moving around and meeting people. But then it is a challenge because you do move around. There's a lot to say about momentum and everything, whether it's love or even business or any friendship.
Yeah.
You start building momentum, and then if you move, or even just leave for a few weeks, you can lose all the steam and you have to start over again. So yeah,
that's true. Okay, now my last question would be, and I always ask a lot of people this towards the end of the podcast, like, what's the one thing that you think you're in pursuit of right now, and if you got it, it would give you like some sort of not peak happiness, but you'd just be happy, more fulfilled? What's that one thing in pursuit of?
Purpose in the work that I do. It even ties back to discussion of love and marriage and long term. I think what I saw, part of why I quit my job as well, was I was sitting there, you get some stability, and then I kind of realized even if I was in a really good relationship, if the work I'm doing is just going to be selling tech, I'm not going to be fulfilled, and I'm going to have to break this off to run out and chase what I'm looking for. So I think what I'm looking for, the real purpose, right? Like what I'm looking for now is purpose in my work, something that I feel that's impactful, something that uses the talents to use. It's not necessarily money, but it would be nice to have enough financial stability that I can actually work on the things that I find meaningful and not just always be chasing money. I imagine if you're making your income through content creation, there has to be a bit of a stress or a push and pull of like what you really want to create versus what's going to economically make sense, and you have to balance that. But yeah, I think for me, it's purpose in the work I'm doing, and then I think the next phase would be like purpose in personal life.
Okay, perfect. Now I think we can. Oh no! I have one more question. More question before you. So now, do you feel the pressure now that you've already had one video that's clocked 3 million? Do you feel the pressure now that all the other videos have to perform, even if it's not equally, but slightly close to that number?
This is the first time I experienced the curse of something going viral. It's the greatest high on earth. I never saw it coming. Yeah. And then I think I've uploaded like 2 videos since. Yeah.
The pressure.
Because now I'm like, unless there's a real purpose. Like one video that did terribly, but it was about the woman doing the cooking marathon. That was a cool one.
Oh, you went for that as well, right?
Yeah, I was there. And I was like, I didn't even care how that performed. That was a cool thing to do. I want to tell that story. So if I want to tell it, it's interesting. But now that like this week I'm sitting here, I'm like, should I just do the low-hanging fruit of a street food, me trying street food? Because I know Kenyans will love it. Yeah. I don't really, I'm not that excited about making it. Yeah. And that's why I decided to do let me go more in depth on the video I did yesterday. But I have found that there's a bit of the curse. Yeah. Because now it's
pressure.
And there's like a thing with I used to be really good about meditating, and this experience has forced me to get back into it, because I'm like, I need to now get back more at peace with I can't now you can't turn views and content creation into a drug where you're chasing the next high, because it's going to ruin it.
And even for you, it be now, because even something that you've done maybe casually, now there's pressure because you're like, okay, now if I post it doesn't have the same numbers as this. Yeah. What does that mean? Do I have to change how I'm shooting, my process?
But the pressure is also completely in your own mind. I don't think anybody else cares. True. And one thing, I think with YouTube, a video that does poorly can hurt you on the next one. TikTok, I've so far felt like the one I posted before was me running the half marathon. It was my worst performing since I've been back. And then
the Stanchart marathon.
Yeah,
really.
I ran that, and then just the half, and then I posted that, and it was 15,000 views over its lifetime, which was at this time every video was 50 to 100 to 200. Oh, and I didn't care. I was like, it's a funny video. But then the one I posted after that was 3 million. So I'm I think the algorithm it doesn't care about the video before. It's testing each one on its own merits individually. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that. But there is an element where I'm I only want to post things that are going to get a lot of attention, a lot of engagement. And now that I've done it, I'm starting to figure out the formula where I'm I can look at, the first video I made was saying I'm back, post in the comments, I'll do what you tell me. Yeah. I had to go back through a couple of days ago and reread all the comments.
Check the comments.
Because I'm looking through and being things I disregarded as dumb ideas, and also things I thought were good ideas. Now that I'm figuring out how TikTok works here, I've actually realized this idea that I thought was good is a really bad idea, and this idea that I completely disregarded is actually potentially a really engaging idea.
And I think the best part about even the TikTok engagement, once it strikes high numbers and you get all the comments, you can always go back. Just you said, you just go back to the comments and you go to that one reply and then now create something out of that person's. And I think that's the best thing about TikTok. Yeah. Just people will give you ideas of your next content.
It's true.
And if you're just to respond to so many other, because for my case, I know I have tons and tons of videos. So I'm always like, okay, I remember somebody asked me this. How comes you haven't posted about that product? You said, I'm like, I go do it and I just post. And, I get feedback. I kind of engage with it. But also, I don't put myself under so much pressure because at times the views can make you just go nuts if that's the only thing that you're chasing.
And I thought it was a good lesson to have now at this time where I'm trying to decide my moves money-wise, because I was like, if I was, I had the chance to monetize the account, but there's issues with TikTok. And also, I don't think they pay you for Kenyan views because they're not running ads here. And that's my audience. So that one video where half of it was 1.5 million Americans, I could have made probably $1,000 or something.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
If you are from a country that they allow you to monetize, so the European Union, UK, or the US.
What do you mean?
If for they pay you, I think it's. What I estimated was that video I wasn't in the monetization yet, so they wouldn't pay me, and it wasn't over a minute. I purposely made it 1 second under. But if you do a video over a minute and you're in there, they call it creativity program.
Yeah.
If you get 1.5 million views that are American, TikTok will essentially pay you $1,200 to $1,500.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And that would actually give me a sense of purpose because then now you have now I understand how people can say you're making this a career out of it because if that's one, and I'm guessing there are people who consistently drop videos every other day and do crazy numbers.
Yep.
So I can so you could potentially make more than $20,000 a month.
Now you can now. Yeah.
But not in Kenya. Sorry, guys.
That's unfortunately.
And
I also am excluded because I opened the account when I lived in Germany, and TikTok as a company is not that great. And they refuse to pay me out unless it's through Germany, which I no longer can do. And I was like, can you please switch my account to the US? And then they're like, nope, you can start over. And I'm like, oh, you want me to just rebuild? The lesson I learned here is one, I think I'd be very uncomfortable if I could only survive if I had a viral video because you don't always know it's going to go viral. True. There's a lot of pressure. True. I don't think that would be a fun life.
True.
And a second is not to have too much faith in a platform, which you hear from creators all the time.
Yeah.
Because I know people that wake up overnight and their TikTok is just deleted or it's gone for no fault of their own.
Yeah. And you had maybe 2 million followers, 3 million followers. But also now just to say even so now we're saying about that video that has 3.3 or is it at 3.5 now?
I think it's 3.3 last I checked.
Okay, so 3.3 million views. That could potentially have been just because you posted it recently, that would have been $3,000 there.
Yeah, if all the views were American, that would be $3,000.
Sheesh. Listen, guys, just keep making your content though, because there's so many other opportunities that come from just making content. Because even for my case, my numbers are not that high, but to be honest, just content has changed my life. I've been able to do my studio, to be able to do my trips, travel, shop, and it's all through content. So I don't take anything that I do for granted.
Yeah.
And I'm not even hitting those crazy high numbers, but just networking, people and other doors that open through content. Trust me, you really never know. You really never know. But other than that, man, thanks for coming through to the podcast. And, I hope we do this again. I don't know for how long you'll be around. You here for the holidays?
I'm only here for 2 weeks, but then I'm planning on coming back at the end of January.
Okay, cool. Maybe when you're back, maybe you can do another one in March. I'll just reach out to you and, know about any other experiences that you've had. And, hopefully we're just clicking those millions of views again and just influence us as well. But because that's, even I don't think that's the video that made me reach out to you. The video that made me reach out to you, I think it's the, hi guys, I'm back in Kenya. And I think that's why now I went through your profile and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Let me follow up. And immediately just say let's do something. And, we're here. So hopefully I get to see you again next year. Hoping this video drops before the end of the year. Okay, let's see. Well, thanks for coming to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm wishing you nothing but the best. And till next time, guys, thanks for watching. Oh, wait. Tell people where they can find you and if you have anything else going on. Sorry.
Yeah. You can find me on TikTok, Roaring Travel, roaring like a lion, Roaring travel. Same name on YouTube. I'm going to start posting there again as well. And then I also post a bit on Instagram under the same name too.
Nice. The Kisscapades podcast is your gateway to holistic growth and personal transformation. Together we'll unlock the secrets to living a life of health, wealth, love, and happiness. So make sure to tune in every week and join us as we explore the essence of what it means to truly thrive. And lastly, show us some love and support in our social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, basically all the social media platforms that support podcasting will definitely be there. Even with the short clips and reels, you can find us there. And lastly, don't be shy with feedback, suggestions, or any questions that you might have in regards to the episodes or our podcast. It's the Kisscapades Podcast. Goodbye.